Today we're going to talk about lead nurturing, about how you can create automated flows that actually work and actually convert into qualified leads for sales. So let's get going. The agenda for this session is, first of all, a short introduction to Increase. Don't worry, I'll keep it very short, only one slide. And then we'll jump into to the topic of today, lead nurturing. We'll talk about the reason for doing lead nurturing at all, and we'll look at how to structure your lead nurturing efforts. And finally, we will see some examples, some practical examples of how lead nurturing is done in practice. A few words about myself. My name is Bernd. I'm a senior marketing architect at Increase. I paid my dues as a CMO for 9 years in an IT company, and before that I was a salesman in 8 years. And you're welcome to write me an email if you have any questions following this session, or you can connect to me on LinkedIn or visit our blog, of course. A few words about Increase. We're specialized in doing marketing automation and consultancy on things like lead nurturing. So, of course, if you, after the session, need help structuring your efforts, then we're able to help you. We have the highest certification in the Nordics on the Oracle platform, and we recently won the Oracle Specialized Partner of the Year award, and we're quite proud of that, honestly. We're 21 people right now working only with this. 2 times in a row we were selected as the second best partner in Europe by Oracle Eloqua, and of course it's not always good to be number 2, but since it's in the entire Europe, we're actually proud of coming in second 2 times in a row. Enough about Increase. Let's jump into the topic. Let's begin with looking at the pressure on marketing that creates the need for nurturing. So the question is, can you feel the pressure? Because these are numbers from different reports, and they show that a lot of time and effort, a lot of cost is spent on sales and marketing. A lot of leads are never followed up. CEOs believe that sales and marketing can be much more effective, but they also believe that sales and marketing is the key to growth in these days. But there's a lot of energy lost because 63% of the time that sales spent on customers are on customers that are not going to buy anything. And many predictions show that in just a few years we'll have much less salespeople. So 600 CEOs participated in a survey, and more than 2/3 of them said that the CMO lacks the credibility of the organization to generate growth. And that, of course, puts a lot of pressure on the marketing. But what is actually the problem, and why do we need lead nurturing? It's because there is a gap between marketing and sales. Traditionally, marketing will say, we deliver a lot of leads to sales, but they never follow it up. They're lazy people. On the other hand, salespeople will say that that's not a lead. It's just an interaction on a website, or they click a link in an email. You're wasting my time. This is not qualified leads at all. So what you need is a clear definition of what is actually a lead. And you need procedures for structured feedback from sales to marketing. You need KPIs for determining and showing the value of a lead from marketing to sales. And typically, there is a huge funnel lead between marketing and sales. Now, these are numbers from reports, and they show that sometimes it's 10%, sometimes it's 15% of all the leads that are generated in marketing that are actually followed up by sales. The rest of them are just discarded, never followed up. That, of course, is a problem in itself. But from these 15%, the salespeople disqualify 70% of those leads, and they're only able to qualify 30%. So again, a big leak in the funnel. 70% of all the leads that are actually followed up are disqualified. But the real problem is that 80% of those disqualified, they will end up buying with your competitor within the next 24 months. So the problem actually was maybe there was no current potential, but there was potential over time. Now, these are the numbers that actually generate the need for lead nurturing. Because from a marketing perspective, we should only have qualified the 30% that sales was able to qualify. Those were the only leads we should ever have sent to the sales organization. The rest of the leads, all the red boxes on this slide, these leads should have stayed in marketing. They should have been nurtured by marketing over time, and then maybe at a later stage they could have been qualified for leads for the sales organization. So what exactly must happen? The way we look at the funnel and the responsibilities in the funnel internally in the marketing and sales organization has to change. Traditionally, marketing will only own the first entry point of the funnel, and then the sales organization own the entire customer relation. But marketing has to take a greater responsibility. Marketing has to own a much bigger part of the marketing and sales funnel. They have to do a lot of nurturing at the top of the funnel, and then sales can take over when there is some actual potential, when the client is ready to talk about a purchase. Let's look at some numbers to see what the benefit of nurturing actually is. SiriusDecision made a research brief. If you don't know SiriusDecision, they're a research company in the sales and marketing field, very renowned, and I can recommend following their work. It's very interesting. And they did one research brief that looked at automated lead nurturing. And they concluded that if you do automated lead nurture, then you will increase the effectiveness of your marketing efforts 5 times. Your marketing efforts will turn into 5 times more orders at the end of the funnel. And they did a lot of numbers documenting this, and let's try to put their numbers into context. This is a classic funnel. You will see touches, inquiries, marketing qualified leads, and so forth down this funnel. And and the numbers on the side of this are the numbers from SiriusDecision. You can see that touches turns into inquiries by 2%, and then we have inquiries turning into marketing qualified leads by 85%. So that means almost all the leads that marketing they register, then they qualify that as marketing qualified leads. But only 5% of those are actually qualified by sales in their numbers here. So if we look at the same kind of funnel using not only lead nurturing but automated lead nurturing, these numbers change drastically. You can see that the 85% turns into about 4% now, which means a lot fewer leads are qualified from marketing. A lot of these leads are kept in marketing and are nurtured until they're ready to be qualified for sales. But on the other hand, it shows that the following conversion numbers will increase drastically from 5% to 58% and so forth down the funnel. This will end up in 5 times better performance of your marketing when we come to the end of the funnel. Maybe you will not reach 5 times better performance, but I mean even 2 or 3 times will do the trick for you, I guess. So these are the numbers. These are the benefits of doing lead nurturing. Before we jump into some practical lead nurturing, you need to have a clear definition of what is a lead. You remember the previous slide about marketing and sales pointing their fingers at each other? We need to have a clear definition of what is a lead between marketing and sales before we can do anything. Because if we don't agree on when a lead should be qualified for sales, then we will keep pointing fingers at each other. So what you need to do is some scoring of your leads. Scoring usually done in a matrix like this. One dimension is fit and the other one is engagement. The fit dimension represents how well does the actual lead fit your ideal profile of a customer. It could be about an industry or about their decision competence, about titles, anything that could show us that the individual contact fits your ideal profile of a client. The other dimension is engagement, meaning how much do they engage with our marketing collateral? Do they visit our website, read our newsletters, click on something on emails, submit forms, and all that kind of things? So in this matrix, if you have a contact that is D4 at the bottom left of the matrix, you'll have someone that doesn't really fit our ideal client and have not engaged. So we don't really have any reach for that contact. In the other end of the matrix, A1, we have a person that fits perfectly our ideal client and has a lot of engagement. And of course, the further we move up to the right, the better qualified these contacts are to talk to sales. So if we put this lead scoring matrix on all our potential leads from marketing, it will show us who can we qualify for sales and who do we have to keep in marketing. So what we will do is typically we will qualify the upper right corner for sales, move them to a sales rep and create a lead for them to be followed up by sales because they fit our profile and they're engaged. As for the rest, we do not qualify them for sales yet. We do something differently. And because we know if they fit or if they have engaged, we can do something differently according to where they are in this matrix. So if we have somebody that really fits our perfect profile, but they have not engaged much, we can do something to get them to engage. If we have somebody at the bottom that we maybe really don't know much about, maybe that's the reason why they're in the bottom of the fit criteria, we can do a specific nurture program to do some data harvesting to get to know more about them. So this is a structure for qualifying leads for sales. Now, a few of these leads has been passed on to sales and the rest of them we keep in marketing for nurturing. And let's look at how we would structure the nurturing efforts. On this slide we have, at the top we have a very simple buying process with an interest phase, a learning phase where maybe the client would try to search on the internet for some options, an evaluation phase looking at potential solutions for their need, a justification phase to justify that they are making the right decision, and then finally a purchase. Very simple buyer's journey. Now, basically, we would produce 5 nurturing flows to begin with. We would have a welcome program that is designed for the interest phase. It's for people entering our database, top of the funnel, welcoming people and getting them into the flow. Then we have the lead nurture progressive. It's about people's interest. We talk about what they need, what they would like to hear, and what interests them. It has to be relevant and interesting to the client, because it regards the learning phase and maybe a little into the evaluation. And then if we pick up on some specific signals that could show some interest from the client, then we put them into a lead nurture accelerator. And that is much more about what we can offer to them. It's designed to accelerate their need and to pull them further down the buying process into making a purchase decision. And when they've made a purchase decision, of course, we need some customer programs, some onboarding program, or maybe a retention program. And the fifth of the lead nurturing programs is the re-engagement. Because, of course, if we have lost a customer or a customer has turned inactive, we need some way to re-engage them. This is the structure of how we would put together all lead nurturing programs. So it's not just simple programs that are not connected. You need to put your lead nurturing into a structure to get the most out of it and to stop the funnel leak. Now let's put some examples on it to go a little further into details. We could have a welcome program, welcoming new subscribers or contacts, depending on what you do. We introduce our brand and talk about what you can expect from our business. When you first interacted with Increase, maybe you went into our welcome program and got a few emails from our CEO welcoming you to our business, and maybe from someone from support that offered their help. That could be a welcome program. And then when we move into the lead nurture progressive in the learn and evaluation phase, we would talk more about how we can help with their needs. We talk about their interest. These are flows that could typically run for a long period of time. So you need a lot of content in those, because maybe the clients are not ready to buy just today. Maybe they're ready to buy in a year or two. And you don't want to run out of content in a flow like that, because you have to keep nurturing these people. And then at some point, you pick up on an interest. Of course, we track everything that people do in this. So we can see what they're interested in. We categorize everything. And if they had reached a certain level of interest, then we move them into an accelerator flow. And remember, we're still in marketing. We're not qualifying any leads for sales yet. We're still in marketing. We've just picked up on an interest and an increased level of engagement from this contact. So we move them into an accelerator flow. And it's designed to, well, add a little urgency to get them moving further in their buying process. We could provide some decision tools that makes it easier for them to make a decision on which product to buy. Of course, we have to remove whatever roadblocks there may be for a decision. And at that point, we could think about getting a sales rep on board, because it could be useful to get somebody to actually follow up on the interest in the accelerator flow. But that, of course, depends on what kind of business you have. If you're running a web shop, this structure will have to follow your client all the way to the purchase decision. And then when they made a purchase decision, we have an onboarding program, welcoming new customers, identifying what are the next steps for them, talking about customer loyalty and retention, and maybe we seek some feedback to get some idea about how we could best sell more to them and keep them as a customer. So going one more step deeper into the details, we will arrive at the content. And you have to build a content map, because we have to understand who are these people we're nurturing and what do we have, what kind of content do we have to communicate to them. So if your contacts are not just one big pool of contacts who are all the same, all acting the same, and that's usually not the case, then you have to do some contact personas. Maybe you can define a few personas that are typical contacts, and it could be different levels of decision power or interests or whatever makes their buyer's journey different. And for each persona, you have to look at this buyer's journey through interest, learn, evaluate, justify, and purchase. And you have to think about what's actually the most interesting and relevant things for this persona. What are the questions that they would typically ask? What are the kind of marketing collateral that could be successful for us? Are we talking about articles or videos or seminars, or would they like to talk to somebody on the phone, or whatever it may be? And then, of course, we have to look into our pool of content to see where are the gaps. Typically, people have a lot of content for the evaluation and justification phase, because at that point they're allowed to talk about their own products. But usually we're more thin on the interest and learn phase, where we have to address the people's interests without talking too much products. So we have to do this kind of content mapping to see which kind of content should we use for each persona, for each stage of the buyer's journey. And when that is set, we're actually ready to build the nurturing flows. And one more thing that's very relevant. When building a nurturing model like this, one of the most important things is recycling. And we're not talking about some environmental issue. We're talking about at every stage of the marketing and sales funnel, there is a possibility that sales will disqualify or reject a lead. And you have to have some lead process in place that will pick up on these leads, so they don't just disappear, so they're not lost. Because even if they qualify a lead in sales and they work a lot on it, maybe they're close to winning the order, but they don't, then what happens? Of course, this lead has to go back into marketing and be nurtured in the right way. So you have to have this lead management process in place to make sure that once a contact has entered your lead nurturing structure, they never leave. No matter if they stay in marketing for nurturing, if they go into sales as a qualified lead, if they turn into a customer, if they turn into an inactive or lost customer, no matter what, they must never leave your lead nurturing structure. All right, so this was all the groundwork. So let's look at some practical examples of how could this turn out in practice. And what you saw in our lead nurturing structure, the first one was a welcome flow, and this is how it could look in practice. The green box is a segment that are monitoring the criteria for entering this welcome flow. So when the system spots a new contact that qualifies to enter the welcome flow, the contact is put into this flow. An email is sent, that's the blue boxes, and then after a little while the system will look at if they actually clicked on this email and sent one message if they did and another if they didn't. The yellow ones are decision rules, so after a few emails we look at if they're subscribed to our newsletter. If they're not, then we send an email about encouraging them to subscribe to the newsletter and so forth. Of course, this is different from company to company about what you would like to have, what kind of content you would like to have in a welcome flow. But this is the way that it would actually turn out in practice. Another example could be a customer flow. When you qualify as a customer, maybe people are transferred directly from your web shop confirmation page to this, so that data flow directly from your e-commerce system into your lead nurturing system. Or maybe the system should monitor some data from your CRM to see when people get a status of being a new customer. And then we send an email welcoming people to our company. And in this case, we check if they're a member of our customer club, and otherwise we're inviting them to join as a member, and so forth. Again, this is just an example of how this could turn out in practice. And finally, an example from our own lead nurturing in Increase. We have our re-engagement flow. The segment here is monitoring if people have not engaged with us at all during 5 months. So if you do not visit our website or click any emails or do anything else regarding Increase for 5 months, you will automatically enter this program. I hope, of course, none of you attending this webinar will ever experience this, but if you do, you will receive some re-engagement emails where we are talking about all the benefits of engaging with Increase and subscribing to our newsletter. And at the end, if you don't react on a few notification emails from us regarding this, we will at the end unsubscribe you from our subscription list. So these were just a few examples from practical scenarios. To wrap this session up, I spotted there were a few Danish names on the list, so here's one for you. If you are able to read Danish, then this is a small guide we have written about lead nurturing. It goes into much more detail about the topic that we have covered today, and I encourage you to download it. It's free and it's very good reading. If you don't read Danish, I'm sorry. Maybe we will get it translated for English someday, or you can run it through Google Translate if that makes any sense. Well, that was it. Finishing a bit early, but that's it for today. Thank you, everybody. And again, if you have any questions, you're welcome to contact me on email or connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you.